All right, I'm going to start out by announcing our captains for this week. Most of you know our routine, but on a weekly basis, we will, as a coaching staff, vote for offense, defense, and special teams captains throughout the year based on performance in the game, mostly off the field. You could kind of disqualify yourself off the field if you're missing a class or something like that. That would kind of say maybe shouldn't be in the leadership position that we're wanting to put you in. So on a weekly basis, we'll vote on who the captains are. You may or may not notice, but there'll be the C that'll be stitched into their jersey for that game. And then at the end of the year, we will allow the players to vote for permanent captains. And also, in our new building, when we get everything finished, there'll be a prominent spot for all our permanent captains to be there as long as the building's there, to honor those guys. So this week, offensively, we had two, Travis Homer and Jeff Thomas. And then on defense, Gerald Willis. It's kind of a no-brainer the way he played. And then on special teams, Mike Smith. So those are our captains for this Savannah State game. All right, we're playing the Tigers this week. Head coach Eric Rayburn has been there. This is his third season. He spent a lot of time in Division III ball, had a tremendous record, got an opportunity to coach at Savannah State and took it. 5 of his Tigers from a year ago were all conference, and it was the most since '97, so he's building a good program. Offensively, Bill Reichel is their coordinator. He's been there. This will be his third year, so all the film that we're looking at will be helpful. Whereas on defense, they have a new coordinator. We've got one game to look at, basically. There's some history of Coach Quinn at different spots along the way, but as you watch the film, it doesn't quite match up. A lot of times you want to confirm what he did at this other school with what he's doing now, and it's not quite the same. So we're going to base most of our decisions off of what they're doing this year, the best we can. And we will study as a coaching staff what he's done in the past. In case we see that, we'll be able to adapt pretty quickly. So we'll still work on a little bit of what he's done in the past, but mostly on what's happening this year. So that's what we'll do there. Offensively, quarterback Devon Gibbons led the team last year with passing over 1,300 yards, ran for close to 500, threw for 5 TDs. I think he rushed for 6 touchdowns, so he's been their total offense leader. Offensive line returns everybody from a year ago. Jalen McLeod was their leading rusher against UAB. He had 43 yards last year. He had almost 400. Their returning wideout is Jermichael Baldwin. Baldwin is also their punt and kick return man. As a punt returner, he was over 13 yards of return, and if I'm not mistaken, he was 4th in the nation in the punt return stage, or in the battle for that. Their tight end, Paris Baker, had 7 catches for 200 yards last year. He's their leading returning tight end. On defense, they did force 25 turnovers last year, very high mark. We had 31 and was one of the best in America. So they got a defensive end. They got a couple of them actually pretty good. Banks, he had 71 tackles, 10 sacks, 18 tackles for loss. He was all conference. I think he was first team all conference. And then fellow senior defensive end, Brandon Carswell, had 34 tackles, 9 tackles for loss. On a special teams note, not necessarily Savannah State, but if history repeats itself, they will hit, I guess, the 26th field goal in a row if they attempt one. No one has missed a field goal on us in 25 attempts, I think. So that might be an NCAA record. Y'all need to check that out. So every time they line up for a field goal, whether it hits the crossbar or not, it's going through, unfortunately for us. They do have a senior linebacker named Bennett, 59 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 picks, very active linebacker. And then their DB, Rutledge, led the team with 81 tackles and had 2 interceptions last year, 9 pass breakups. Giovanni Lugo, their kicker, made 8 of 14 last year, made all but 1 PAT last year and had a long kick of 43. He's also doing a little bit of punting. We got Lugo averaging 40 yards a kick, and then Chandler averaging 37 a kick. And as I mentioned before, Baldwin returns kicks, 22 yards an average, and punts 13.5 yards on punt returns, which again was fourth in the nation. He did have a touchdown as a kick returner last year. So 6 o'clock kick, playing in Hard Rock for the first time this year. Looking forward to seeing our students and seeing our band and seeing our fans and seeing this, City of Miami come and support us. The guys are excited about that. I know their family and friends will be there as well. So looking forward to playing at home for the first time this year and hopefully getting a victory. So with that, we'll open it up.
Because you brought it up, it's a silly stat.
Yeah.
It's 57 straight kicks when you count PATs.
Is that what it is? I'm glad somebody checked. So 57 straight kicks.
Going back to the Duke game in 16.
They have made them all. That's incredible. I mean, it's just the odds of that probably aren't very good. But it's got to be leading the nation in that category. So anyway.
Mark, what did you take out of the film study?
Of our game, well, a lot. We'll start with special teams. Got them backed up, 5-yard line, punting out. Plenty of time to put a drive together. I think we still had a couple timeouts, maybe all of our timeouts in the first half. And then we get the running into the kicker, which we didn't hit the kicker, but if you don't allow him to land if he jumps and he's going to land in that spot, if our body's underneath him, whether we touch him or not, it's considered a foul. That's what they told us. So that didn't help. And then, you got Rousseau, just young, wanting to, he's 6'8", whatever he is, and we want a big, tall guy there. We had Garvin there last year. I think we had Langham, our big, tall guys to go to the shield. And, you can, by rule, jump straight up, okay? But he jumped with enough force where he went forward. He got blocked. He landed on, I don't think he landed on his head, but he could have landed on his head. And it's a safety rule, and I think it was called correctly. But unfortunately, it gives them a first down. I think they were able to take a knee, and then we don't get a chance to, get a drive. I mean, 7 right there, you never know. Even 3 right there, you never know how that could affect the game later on. That hurt, but, we got Bubba Baxa, first time ever kicking in a game, and did good. I mean, he made his first kick. The second one, we think it was partially blocked. I don't think the stats will show that, but when you watch the film, it looked like one of their guys got a hand on it or a finger or two on it. And then his reaction was like, I got it. I don't know. Those guys tend to make it up. I think he felt it hit his hand. Now, was that enough to make it not be good? I don't know. But I thought Bubba did well. Fiegels, God love him. We had a missed assignment. Very first punt of the year. Guy comes right up the gut. He should have caught it off of he should have been able to grab it from the punter and score. But somehow he runs by us and we get the punt off, but it was like, Fiegels knew what was up. It wasn't good protection, but like I told him, I said, I didn't wait till he shanked a couple. Probably should have told him right away, but I do think that affected him the next couple punts. But I told him, I said, look, you're like a quarterback. When you drop back in that pocket, quarterback drops back in the pocket, you might get sacked. But guess what? The next time you got to drop back and believe your pocket's going to be good because you can't be fidgeting around back there. You got to do your job. Let them do their job. And the only job he has is to catch it and to lay it out there like he likes it and kick it on the right timing. And he can't worry about protection. And after a while, after that, I think he started punting a little bit better. But I think it affected him a little bit. And then today he's booming them out of the yard. He had a 5.09 hang time. Ball was probably 60 yards. You just don't get over 5-point hang time. But he had a bunch of 4.66, 4.67 hang time, putting the ball right where you want it. That's what he did all camp. So, he's got to get back on track. That would help. And then, we had a little something going on a couple returns. The best thing I liked about our kick return was how Jeff Thomas just hit it in there. You got to run through there with a lot of bravery, and because you never know when that thing will pop. So And we had a fair catch one time, which we did exactly the way we coached it, and we got the ball in the 25 one time. So that's what I remember on special. As far as defense, I think the most disappointing thing was having opportunities for the turnovers and, ball on the ground, and we don't get on it. Now, that was the same play they called Trajan for the hit that put him out of the game. But the ball's coming out, ball's on the ground. We had two guys right there. They're bending over to grab it instead of being the first one on the ground. We just teach that. It's unbelievable how hard we teach that. Two guys. And then some other guy, 3 yards away at least, he comes in, decides to go get on it, and they recover it. So it's disappointing we didn't recover that. And then, we had a ball that hit our hands that could have been a pick. I don't know about a pick six, but it could have been a pick. But that one would have got called back too because we had a late hit on the quarterback, and that was a good call. I don't really understand the one on Trajan, to be honest with you. To me, when if a receiver's going for a ball, obviously there's certain things that makes him defenseless. If he catches a ball and becomes a runner, the way I know it is if a guy becomes a runner, he's not a defenseless player anymore. And so anyway, and Trajan really just face up, just tackling. He didn't dive at torpedo the guy or anything, but I don't want that to affect him and the rest of the guys the rest of the year. I don't want Trajan to stop tackling people aggressively. We can't have that. So we were getting our answers to some questions on that. Offensively, as far as a coaching error, in my opinion, we had too much run game where the quarterback could pull or not, a lot of zone read. And because of it, Malik ends up with 16 carries. And, I want the ball in our backs' hands more than we had. Now, towards the end of the game, when you got to just throw, that's another reason. But, I don't want him having 16 carries for two reasons. One, some of them were sacks. And two, I don't want him pulling the ball that much. We're still going to run. We're going to run zone read. We're going to run QB draw. We're going to do the things we do. But I think I put too much of the plan where if this guy does this, he could pull. If he does that, he could hand it. And because of it, we probably had the QB running a little bit more than I wanted him to run. Overall, most of the game, the protection was good. Towards the end, when they could tee off, it became tougher to protect, which is what happens. I like the fact that even though we didn't score early, even going into the fourth quarter, we're down by 30. But, I've been down by 28. I've been down 4 scores before and come back in the fourth quarter and won a game. So that's happened in my career, and I knew we could do it. So we get 1 score, and we kick the extra point. We get another score, kick the extra point, get within 16. Then we get the ball again, and the ball's, inside the 40, I think. Still 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 2 timeouts. We got a chance to score there, go for 2, make it an 8-point ball game with still plenty of time to get a stop, and we just couldn't quite finish. But I think we battled. I don't think we quit. It was not a banner performance, either side of the ball, quite frankly, or specials. We had too many penalties, obviously, 11 penalties. And we just mentioned some of them that were killing us, some missed assignments. That's the big 3: penalties, missed assignments, and turnovers. We lost the turnovers, we had lost the penalty battle, and I'm sure both teams had missed assignments, but we had some key ones by veteran players that we were doing the most basic stuff that day one teaching. So, was the moment too big? A couple moments, maybe so. But anyway, like I told the team, the only way to feel better really in football is to win, and the only way to win is to prepare the way you need to prepare. And whether we won or lost, we got to go back to work, and that's it's part of the beauty of football. Is once it's over, win or lose, you got to focus on the next task ahead as a coach and as players, and that's where our focus is. And it's a fast week, so it's a little bit different.
There were a couple, not their back-to-back plays, but it seemed they were pretty close together in the first quarter. And LSU was down, I think, both starting corners. I think they were missing one on the defensive starter at that point. They all got nicked.
Yeah.
How tough, I mean, the instinct, obviously, then is, okay, you want to go up, when they have a 2 in there, the instinct is to go at him. How tough is it to
We
kind of
did.
adjust?
We did. We took a shot and we didn't complete it. We had Amon on the left side on a go ball when Greedy went out, and their number 22, I guess it was. He did a good job. I mean, the art of a deep ball, it's not just the quarterback, it's not just the receiver, it's also the protection. It's protection, and then it's one-on-one, and we have got to do the best we can to move a defender off of his spot. If he's just standing there ready to jam you, and you make your move in the middle of his body, he's just going to stand there and jam you and redirect you and probably give you no grass on the side. The goal is to have some space outside of you. If you're running around that corner, you want some grass for the quarterback to allow him to throw it a little bit wider than the defender. Now, sometimes a receiver just beats him deep and you just throw it down the field and we're good. But more times than not, it's a battle. You see it all the time. It's just like both guys are chicken fighting down the sideline, and the corner's trying to jam him out of bounds, and the receiver's trying to keep his space for the quarterback to throw it. And we had one to Cager. He caught it on the sideline, perfectly thrown ball, but he gave us no grass. There's nowhere, so he's out of bounds by this much. If he gave us a little more grass, maybe that's a completion. Jeff Thomas runs one, and he gives just enough. Number 7, Hightower, did the best job on his one. There was probably 5 yards outside of him, and we were able to lay it away, and he was able to just easily get away from the defender and catch the ball. So, we got to get better. But we did try to at least go after him on that shot, and we got what we wanted. We got man coverage. And the kid, 22, to his credit, I don't even remember his name, did a good job of defending. Later on, he had 2 pass interference in a row. But on that play, he played it well.
Is Malik still the starter for semester? How much of
Yes.
a gap is there? Yeah, what was the answer?
I'm not. Yes. And here's the deal on that. If there's an announcement to make, I'll make it. So y'all can ask all the QB questions you want, but if there's ever a time something should change, I'll tell you. That's true at every position. But I don't mind you asking, but I'll give you the same answer.
And also, how much of a gap is there between Malik and Nkosi McCabe? And do you
Well, all those guys are getting better. They're all getting better. And I'm not going to say who's going to play and not play in this game. I'm not going to say that either. The guys that deserve to play will play. The guys that, prove to the coaches that they know what they're doing and we can trust them. Now, there's some young guys we just got to play. I mean, Bandy goes out. Ivy's got to play some, Bam. I mean, he might not have played nearly as much if Bandy was there the whole time. So sometimes, and like our 2 tight ends, they're brand new freshmen. They're playing. They're starting. You know what I mean? Some of these receivers, towards the end of the game, we're trying to run routes over and over, and we're letting them just about all of them play. Just about all of them play. And we want our guys to get in position to play. And the new rule is a great rule. I mean, I'm going to be excited if the moment comes where I can feel comfortable playing a guy. Where in the past I was like, well, if I play him, then he can't redshirt. And not that I'm trying to redshirt a bunch of kids, but you can just play him freely. And then if you get to game 3 and you think he should play game 4, then he probably shouldn't be a redshirt anyway. So I really love the rule, and I think it's going to help. And just to clarify, everybody, any player who's never redshirted is eligible for that rule. So you could be played your first year, played your second year, game 3. Let's say Michael Irvin Jr. He played the first 2 years. All right, he's hurt now, but if he gets healthy enough to play at the end of the year, hypothetically, if he's healthy enough, he could play the last 4 games and it not count against his eligibility, which is great. So I like the rule.
All right, do you have any more update on Amon from what you said this morning?
Yeah, well, he didn't go today. His knee is still, an issue. I would say day to day is the best I could tell you. And if you want to ask me or somebody every day, well, you guys see who's out there, and when you get your moments out there in practice, so you'll see whether he's there or not. But he was not there today. Short week 2, I don't know. We'll see.
What do you want to see out of this game? I mean, you're playing a team that just lost 52-0, so what do you want to see out of your play?
Well, here's what I say. Their record's the same as our record, right? We both lost. That's how I see it. We got two teams trying to win, you know. And all I can tell you is our goal is to get our guys to do the right assignment with energy and attitude and physicality and all that. And that's all they should focus on. What's my job and the way and how am I going to accomplish that job, you know? You got to know what to do, you got to have the right technique, and you got to add energy to it. And that's, if everybody does that every play, then we'll have success and we'll win a bunch of games.
Coach, I asked
Yes.
Brown about the fact, the last 4 games, if there was a commonality there in what you've seen. He said underprepared. Do you agree with that assessment? And how much of that onus falls on the coaching staff?
Well, I don't believe that. I don't know why he said that, to be honest with you. I'm sure coaches can get hard on each other and on themselves and say what they want to say, but I don't agree that we were underprepared by any means. It might have felt like guys maybe were not as mentally ready as they should be, but we prepare our guys well. And, you know, sometimes you play good teams, you know. Sometimes, I mean, those teams we played, you know, the Pitt record was not great, but they had a lot of good athletes and had their day, had their moment. You know, but then, you know, Clemson wasn't bad, and Wisconsin's pretty good, and LSU's not a bad team either. So, but we got to win those games. We know that. We won some big games. You know, the stretch of Virginia Tech and Notre Dame was, you know, the highlight of the season certainly, but we got to be able to rise to that level on a greater, you know, consistent basis.
Gerald was just announced.
What's
Gerald
that?
Gerald was just announced as one of the players of the week in the conference.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know
So.
you raved when you announced the captaincy for this weekend.
Yeah, Gerald, that's good news. Thank you. Gerald apparently is defensive lineman of the week
I think so, yeah.
for the ACC. He had 4 tackles for loss or something, and he played lights out. I mean,
Did you expect that from him?
yeah,
How long he's waited?
2 years, you know, and you know, we have a hard time blocking him every day. He's just one of those guys that it's hard to block, quick, fast, strong, and you know, he's relentless. And I'll say it 1,000 times how proud I am of Gerald for, you know, how he's handled everything since the day he got here and the learning that has taken place and the growth as a man has taken place. I'm really happy for G. He's going to make a great pro, and he's going to make a great husband and father too. I'm really proud of him.
And Mark, you obviously look at everything under.
I'll get you next. No, you're good.
So you look at everything under a magnifying glass. And you know what the outside looks like. So
Yeah.
how did you evaluate Malik's play in the game when you
Right.
broke down every play?
Well, I know what we're telling him. I know what we're teaching him. I know what he's seeing or what he's dealing with on any particular play. So, you know, the common fan doesn't really know what we're asking him to do on this play or that play, or why did he do this or why did he do that, or, you know, they just look at the numbers and, you know, did he complete so many or did he not, or did he throw an interception or did he not? You know, we grade him. Quite frankly, he's got a job to do. We grade him for his job. We grade him for his technique. We grade him for a decision that he makes, good or bad. And we grade him for his accuracy. And you know, no quarterback's ever been perfect, and you know, we understand that. So you know, all those things together, along with who he's competing against, what those guys do, what they do in practice, what they do in the meetings, what they do, you know, as they're trying to grow up themselves, that group was a little immature. And, you know, to their credit, I mentioned it earlier, I think they're growing up. I think they're maturing. I think they're getting closer to being man enough to be that guy. That is a tough job. That's a tough job because of the, you know, the scrutiny of the position as much as anything. So, but competition's good, and we'll always be competing. Yes, sir, you had a question.
Yeah, it was sort of like what he was talking about, just specifically maybe what areas. None of these guys are working hard and pressure
Yeah.
to get to where
The young guys?
quarterback, but maybe specific areas with the coach, specific areas with K.
They're all getting to the point where, you know, they're at the point now where you give them some PT and see what happens. You know, I think they're ready for that.
Mark, I know you mentioned it briefly in your statement before the LSU trip that Nicosia responded
I mean, I think he was excited to be back, and just so I can clarify it for everybody, the decision to not go to that game happened, I mean, at least 6 months ago, maybe more. So, you know, when certain things happen, you discipline, and when you discipline, some of it's maybe an early morning run, maybe some of it's, there's a lot of different things you use as a discipline. One thing you use is playing time. And so this, whatever happened, rose to the level of him not being able to play the next game. And the next game happened to be this last game. So, but since that time, he has done a great job. And I'm pleased. I'm sorry that he couldn't be prepared, or that he couldn't be there and possibly play, or be ready to play, or miss the experience of going to Dallas and all that good stuff. But, you know, discipline is designed to change behavior for the better. And even though it's painful for him, it can be painful for your team as well. But in order to have order, and in order to have discipline in your entire team, then you got to do these things, in my opinion. And we did, and he learned, and I think it'll bless him in the long run. I think it'll bless the program.
Anything else, guys?
All right.